Hello and top of the morning to you. Thanks for joining in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the broadcast is my colleague Varghese P. Abraham, and what we're essentially up to every day at 8 a.m. is to take a look at all the headlines that we can possible, trying to chalk out and understand what our day also is going to look like, and also break these newsroom barriers, help you get into that process. Get down in the comment sections. Let us know if there's something that you'd like for us to take up as well. We're going to go through some English newspapers, some Hindi newspapers, newspapers from down south. Also take a look at what the social media is abuzz with. That Elon Musk versus Zuckerberg cage fight is really blowing up on X. There's a back and forth that's happening on that front. If there's any viral Instagram video, we're going to talk about that as well. But there is a list of stories that we have sort of jotted down to understand what's really happening. Of course, we're going to talk about Manipur, and when we're saying we're going to talk about Manipur, we'll talk about the KPA, which is the Kuki People's Alliance, a crucial stakeholder in the government. They have withdrawn their support from the Chief Minister N. Biren Singh led government in the state. Also, 60 more structures that were demolished in Nu. We just showed you those headline visuals as well. We'll also talk about the fresh violence in Panipat. Along with that, Chandrayaan-3, India's moon mission, has sent back the first pictures of the moon after it entered the lunar orbit. It is now feeling lunar gravity, Varghese. The panel has backed the law to ban polygamy in Assam. We'll throw some light on that, try to decode that. It's right here on the first page as well. Assam can enact law to ban polygamy, says the expert panel. So on the other hand, you've got the Muslim side that is now threatening to boycott the Gyanvapi survey. Why they're threatening is because they're saying that yesterday, after Sunday, when the imaging and mapping happened, we essentially don't want people to come out, or anybody from the ASI team or anybody who was there inside the Tahkana, inside the basement, to come out and say that, we found idols, we found some kalash, we found some trishul. That shouldn't happen, which is why they're threatening boycott. On the other hand, of course, people are going in the comment sections and saying it's Mahadev 1 and Muhammad 0. On the other hand, some other stories that we must take a look at as well. Varghese, Rahul Gandhi's Lok Sabha membership.
I mean, the Congress is saying please reinstate him as fast as possible. Because one of the arguments, I was listening to one of the Congress leaders, they said that when the disqualification came, his suspension of membership was done in hours. Why is it that...
Hours? Minutes. It happened in minutes.
So why is the reinstatement taking long?
Well, the member of parliament from Lakshadweep is still awaiting his reinstatement. In the Lok Sabha. 30 people died in Pakistan's train derailment. We'll try to bring you visuals if that's possible, and we'll also take a look at what the details are as to what happened in that train derailment, because Balasore is a wound that we're still recovering from here back at home. So train derailment, we must understand the kind of safety measures that now need to be part of the conversation. Along with that, Telangana folk singer Gadar, well, he has passed away. You'd probably know a little bit more about Gadar because I personally was unaware, but the kind of fan following the man has, on the social media, I mean, it will be interesting to understand who this person actually was. 2023 Cricket World Cup, even though India lost yesterday to West Indies in that T20 clash, I mean, West Indies, they're big players, them beating a 2020, beating them on a 2020 game is certainly going to be difficult. But Pakistan is now going to enter India because India is hosting the World Cup, the 50 over ODI World Cup at Pakistan. On their website will show you that particular statement. They're saying that they are in fact going to come to India to play. In Jammu and Kashmir, an infiltration bid has been foiled, and Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk is something that we'll also talk about. But first and foremost, shifting our focus here, Varghese, to more central forces that are being sent into Manipur amid Methi outfits appeal to boycott the Biren government. So, two things that are happening here.
In fact, Manipur, Kabir, I mean, we'll start with that, but there's so much happening in Manipur at the moment. So, you were talking about how the forces are in fact reaching out to Manipur. But so much
a little recap as to what happened over the weekend. You had, 3 people who died in Bishnupur. That is something that happened.
Were, I was reading here.
A suspected cookie terrorist was, alleged cookie terrorist was, gunned down. One got wounded. He was taken back by the armed forces. And today, again, what we're learning is that more central forces, there are probably 10 different battalions, 5 corps of 1 regiment, 1 from the ITBP, several paramilitary forces that are also involved. And along with that, the KPA, the Kuki People's Alliance, 2 Kuki MLAs of the NDA ally take back support. So now this is actually affecting central politics as well, isn't it?
It's more when we are looking at how the Kuki support is important. In fact, they have 2 MLAs in in that government of Biren Singh. So now it looks like it is quite fractured in the sense that BJP has around 30. Now 2 of them have withdrawn. Then you have JDU MLAs as well, and then you have the NPP MLAs as well. So it is going to be quite a fractured house that we are in fact seeing when it comes to the thing. I'll just read out the numbers for you. In fact, this is how it is placed. The BJP has 32 members, while it has the support of 5 NPF MLAs and 3 independent legislators. Now, the opposition legislators include 7 from NPP, 5 from the Congress, and 6 from the JDU. Now, with the KPA now moving around, the KPA moves into the opposition camp. So, 2 of them, what they have actually written to the governor is this, that accordingly, the support of the KPA to the government of Manipur is hereby withdrawn and can be considered null and void. This is what the letter that they had sent had, in fact, given to the governor had written about it. Since May 3rd, the northeastern state has been gripped by ethnic clashes, primarily between the tribal Kukis who reside mostly in the hill districts and the majority Metis, the dominant community in Imphal. So, but for me,
rampant gun violence that is still going over there. But politics not, essentially cooling down. Take a look at what's happening on the other spectrum. Tribal body accepts Shah's invite for talks. And what tribal body is this? It's the Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, the ITLF, representing various Zo-ethnic groups in Manipur, has accepted Home Minister Amit Shah's invitations for discussions with the centre in the national capital. This is sources close to Mizoram Chief Minister Zoramthanga that have come out.
The Hindu has also in fact said that when it comes to the Mizoram Chief Minister, he's playing a very active role, especially when it comes to back balance talks or back channel talks that are happening between the government as well as the stakeholders in Manipur. So he's playing a very important and active role on that. Fact, he's able to facilitate these talks as such. And interestingly enough, over here you have in fact mentioned all the number of people who are there. The Hindu has also mentioned about what would the withdrawal of the KPA mean for Biren. It is more of a symbolic thing, and how the issue in fact puts pressure on the NDA as well. But Amit Shah, in fact, trying to use the offices of Zoramthanga of Mizoram to get them onto the negotiating table. That's because intense gunfights have been reported from neighbouring district of Kuki-dominated Chuchandpur and Meti-dominated Bishnupur. So the clashes are happening in these districts, and it looks like the forces have been rushed to control this before it becomes really, really difficult on the ground. So that is one aspect of it. But Kabir, what caught my eye on Manipur was this also, that 5 cops have been suspended over sexual assault on 2 Manipur women. More forces have been sent, of course, we have said. 15 houses have been burnt in fresh violence. IJ rank officer to probe armory looting that's happening. So that is the most important story. I think the Manipur government has suspended 5 police personnel over the May 4 incident in which 2 women were allegedly stripped and paraded by the mob. The Tobal district of the state that has been witnessing ethnic violence, and of course in a fresh case of violence, 15 houses were set afire in Imphal West district late last evening as mob went on a rampage at Langol Games village. Security personnel fired several rounds of tear gas shells to disperse the crowd. So on the ground, there is so much happening, and then there is negotiations happening, there is back channel talks happening, and you are rushing in forces. What does it all mean? And then the political developments. It just says that the Manipur situation is becoming a quagmire of sorts.
Take a look at this. Of an official document, it says 5 COIs of the CRPF, 3 COIs of the BSF, 1 COI of the ITBP, and 1 COI of the SSB that have been mobilized. So essentially 10 companies that landed have already landed in Manipur. But interestingly, take a look at this. Hindustan Times e-copy. So much gets lost, and you've been talking about historical negativities. I hope this doesn't turn into historical negativity, because you can only make sense of history when you look back. As villagers get raised, Israel's lost tribe in Manipur has been hit hard by ethnic violence. The Bnei Menashe community claims to have descendants from the Manasseh, one of the biblical lost tribes of Israel exiled in 720 BC by the Assyrian conquerors. A lost tribe of Israel in northeast India has been swept up in months of deadly ethnic violence, with at least 1 death, synagogues torched, and hundreds forced to flee. say, members. So you have synagogues that are under attack as well, and this is a lost tribe. Such a beautiful aspect, that something that dates back to 720 BC.
The Bene Manasseh is considered, or they consider themselves as the lost tribe, and they are said to have moved much east after the in 700 BC, when the Assyrians came and destroyed the kingdom of Israel, and later the kingdom of Judah was also destroyed at that time. It's just a historical.
It's a 5,000 strong community in India.
Yeah, and a lot of them have been moving to Israel also. Many of them have gone to Israel. Some of them have in fact joined the armed forces in Israel, and they have been contributing members of society in Israel as well. But it is a microscopic community, and many of them have recently started to discover their Jewish heritage. So the Bene Manasseh is said to be one of those tribes that the Israeli government, along with rabbinical Jews, rabbinical Jews and Israeli, the Israeli government also recognizes them, and most of them have their aliyah, what we call as their reinstatement into Israel has been.
I also have with me here Operation Mongcham. Operation Mongcham, this is the information that was put out by the Spear Corps of the Indian Army. It says multiple operations were launched in the aftermath of the incident at Kwakta in Bishnupur in the wee hours. During one such search operation, Indian Army column drew effective fire from armed insurgents from general area Mongcham at approximately 5:30 p.m. Own troops retaliated in a calibrated manner, and in the ensuing firefight, one armed insurgent of the KIA, which is a non-suspension of arms group, sustained a gunshot wound and has been apprehended, while others managed to escape. There are other visuals also that are doing the rounds, where there's a proper, we're not, of course, not going to play those visuals out until we know that we have actually corroborated those shots. But it's all over the social media that the Indian Army and the Manipur police are constantly at loggerheads. Now it is turning into quarrels, it is turning into pointing of guns at each other.
Initially, there was talks about how when the army was moving into certain areas, they are supposed to be getting in touch with the SHOs and other thing, because it is a part of the courtesy factor. They were supposed to operate in cohesion, but they are saying that they are facing a lot of resistance, and a lot of sources have been saying from the army that the Manipur police has been uncooperative.
What's peculiar about the situation is that you just don't know who to believe at face value.
I mean,
that's how the delicacy of the situation on the ground is such that you just don't know what to take on face value. Over here, yesterday I was going through a tweet by the Manipur police. And the Manipur police says, it's a long expansive tweet, and it's talking about essentially, all these misleading reports about how many guns out there in the open, how many guns were stolen from the armories. This is the amount of number that we've recovered. But when the Supreme Court has come out and said it, when so many other, credible bodies have come out and said that, the situation in Manipur has completely gone out of hand, the law and order is not under control, how do you then simply just believe a tweet that's coming from the Manipur police is my question.
Since you asked about the armory, IG rank officer has been appointed to probe into the armory looting. About 19,000 bullets were looted from the police armory at Narsena. The police have so far recovered 1,195 looted arms is what they claim, 1,057 from the valley districts and 138 from the hill districts, and thousands of bullets. So this is becoming a constant point of pressure where armories are being looted.
Right here, a page dedicated to Manipur. It says, Manipur tribal groups' body set to hold talks with Amit Shah today. Mizoram Chief Minister convinces it for Delhi meeting. Kuki party takes back support, but government certainly stable right now, of course. The numbers are such. And there's a picture of an ITLF protest meeting in Manipur in July. The group represents various Zo ethnic groups in the state. So Zoram Thanga also acting as a linchpin over here, Chief Minister of the neighboring state. Is Mizoram looking ahead to polls this year?
See, it's not about Mizoram looking at polls. It's more about the fact that the Kukis have ethnic ties with the Mizos.
Of course.
Especially when it
so as the Chief Minister, Zoram Thanga.
The Chief Minister has that. And also Mizoram is facing a huge onrush of Kuki refugees, if we can put it in those ways, who have been displaced from this thing, and they want this issue to be solved because it is also creating an economic strain on the state.
Look at this, Varghese. Maybe you will, help the viewers analyze this a little better. Church ravaged, Mizoram cops suspect satanic worshippers. A house of worship belonging to the Presbyterian Church in Zobok village of South Mizoram's Lunglei district was desecrated and vandalized apparently on Friday or Saturday night. It's not clear over here. Church leaders said on Sunday. But the police do not rule out that the perpetrators might be satanic worshippers or drug addicts.
No, that's another angle to
Meanwhile, on a serious note, this coming in from the army, it says one unit was attacked by militants in Manipur. The Coordinating Committee on Manipur Integrity, the COCOMI, attributed the resurgence of violence in Manipur to the administration allegedly not taking heed of civil society's demand to retain in Chinkuki narco-terrorists. At a July 29 rally, the organization had sought a special assembly session within 5 days. COCOMI leader Jitendra Ningomba questioned the circumstances of Saturday's pre-dawn attack in which 3 people, a father-son duo, and their neighbor were killed in Kwakta in Bishnupur district. Something that we covered early on Saturday as well, Varghese.
Well, also one more thing when we talk about the Cookie MLAs, this thing, Hindustan Times has put out one article. It says the Cookie MLAs likely to skip assembly amid violence. Most of the Cookie MLAs, irrespective of their party affiliations, are unlikely to attend the Manipur assembly session slated to be called from August 21st. In view of the continued ethnic violence, according to leaders from the community. COCOMI and Apex Methi organization, which has been spearheading demands for early session of assembly to unanimously reject demands for separate administrative units for cookies, however, said it would ensure safety of tribal MLAs if they really want to come.
Well, I guess I don't essentially want to be jumping the gun here, and I'm going to wait till the ITLF meeting. You know, I'm looking for something positive to come out of Manipur. It doesn't matter who's doing it, for whom. Politics has to be kept aside. And
now it's almost 3 months, isn't it?
More than 3 months.
More than 3 months, yeah. May 3rd, June, July. Yeah, it started on May 3rd. So June 3rd, July 3rd, and now, yeah, we've reached August now. It's almost 3 months. I mean, more than 3 months, too.
Right.
So the violence has just been continuing. That is the shocking part of it. And
it's not
in the
dying
last
down.
3 months, we've been talking the same thing. The guns being looted, the
it's a probe after probe. It's a panel after panel.
More horror stories coming out of it. 3 months, and the violence is not yet quelled.
Well, we'll have to wait and watch as to what happens in the ITLF meeting. I don't want to jump the gun here. Let's quickly move on to what's happening in Nu. There are, fresh demolitions that have been taken place. That particular building from where the stones were being pelted on the VHP, Shobha Yatra, that particular building has been razed completely. When the bulldozer justice began, people constantly began comparing, the Yogi Adityanath-led government and the Manohar Lal Khattar-led government, and how the two were, dealing with bulldozer justice. Many saying that what's happening in Haryana is not really justified. But on the other hand, there were several people that said that this is exactly what should be happening. It's a BJP blueprint that's working great in Uttar Pradesh. Why not carry it out in Haryana as well? We know that in Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan has also administered bulldozer justice. So 60 new fresh buildings that were demolished over the weekend in Nu. No notices were sent to these owners in particular, and Nu again being that Muslim dominated sensitive area. Monu Manesar at the center of it all. What is it that you're picking up? We know that these are some knee-jerk reactions coming in from the government. We know that life was completely thrown out of gear in those areas in the outskirts of Delhi. NCR also, if Gurugram is kept as the point of focus. But apart from that, knee-jerk reactions. People were saying that bulldozer justice wasn't really justified in this case, and proper lapses by the police that were out in the open.
See, the local administration failed completely, Kabir. They did not even gauge the kind of situation that was building up, and there was a yatra that was going through it. Where was the security? Where was the personnel for that yatra? And then you have stone pelting also happening at the same time. The entire warning was, people were issuing warnings on social media, and you're telling me that the local police did not have an inkling about it unless they decided to in fact slip it down the surface. But however, after having said that, I was just looking at that picture of that hotel that you were in fact speaking about. They have in fact raised it. I'll just put that picture out if possible and show as to how that particular bulldozer justice that we were talking about tend to in fact move on to this. So I'll just show that picture here. This is that hotel or that area from which a lot of people had in fact ensured that they would stand on the top of this hotel, and they would pelt that stone. So
that's that particular
hotel that we are looking at.
All
and that hotel, we can see how, from here they were actually throwing stones at the people who were coming for the yatra, the Jal Abhishek yatra, and that was also predominantly seen in many of the videos that had come out from Nu, especially with stones hurled from the top of this hotel. So that hotel has been in fact looked into, targeted, and probably even seen how its location is what would have led to the pelters, the stone pelters, to use it. That has been
the common claim, Varghese, and I've got a picture here in the city as well. It says, no notice issued has been the common claim as demolitions continue for the 4th day. It's got a small, a tiny looking bike, a tiny looking motorbike that is going on a road with raised, constructions on either side of that tiny little bike. That's the picture that they put out. Rubble lines the road in Nu's Nalhar village following the demolition drive. But on the other hand, Nu administration says only illegal buildings have been brought down.
That's
when the common claim by the owners is that no notices were sent out as these demolitions continue for the 4th day in a row. Now, taking a look at politics, Varghese.
Before you move on, I'll just bring you a little bit of statistics. Just 2 lines. Give me a second.
Right.
The line over here. The new administration continued its demolition drive in the violence hit district for 4th straight day on Sunday, with authorities razing 94 houses and 212 other structures, taking the total number of buildings leveled to more than 750 since the drive began.
750 in the last 4 days.
Yeah.
In the last 4 days. Now take a look at this. Call goes out at a panchayat in Gurgaon village which says, release our innocent brothers. Meeting held despite prohibitory orders in force in the district. Demanding the release of innocent Hindu men, a panchayat at Gurgaon's Tigra village called for the removal of the mosque in Sector 57, an economic boycott of Muslims, and a chakka jam. The meeting, held despite prohibitory orders being in force in the district, comes days after the arrest of 4 men from the village in connection with the murder of Naib Imam of the Anjuman Jama Masjid in Sector 57. And there are also reports that are doing the round that it was so pre-planned, it went down exactly to the T, that particular murder. It wasn't as if the mob, got inside the mosque and the Imam's death was just a subsequent consequence of the mob overtaking the mosque.
Also, this question,
it was a targeted attack.
First of all, also the kind of manner in which the speech has gone out. I am just reading some of the quotes of the person who made that speech. This is what is being said. Kulbhushan Bhardwaj, a Bajrang Dal member, alleged that the cases registered in Nu's connection with the violence are against unidentified people, but in Gurugram, the suspects have been named. He claimed that the people arrested were not part of the mob. In a more direct thread, Bhardwaj said there are hundreds of Muslim men working in Gurugram as vegetable vendors, mechanics and cab drivers, and we have always supported them, but now we will ensure they don't get any support.
He also referred to the 1992 riots.
That's what I'm trying to say.
How referred to the 1992 riots.
You have people coming out openly making threats like this.
A reaction took place then, and then too we were victorious. These are the calls that are being put out. I mean, if the central agencies have read this by now, isn't this hate speech right out in the open?
It's a hate speech right out in the open.
Isn't this hate speech?
Why is it that no one is taking cognizance? A lot of reports coming in the newspapers.
Every Hindu of Mewat knows how to protect himself. The committee you have formed, pointing to towards the panchayat, whatever decision you will take, I do not care. I do not care that I am MLA. I am with the Hindu society. This is the MLA that is coming out in support of this particular panchayat, which was held despite prohibitory orders that were in force in the district. Calls were made to remove the Sector 57 masjid. The suggestion should be included in the memorandum that we are giving, said Daima. Satvir Khatana of Sona, one of the main speakers of the panchayat, said, we should take everyone along in society, but those who are guilty must be punished. The main purpose of this panchayat is that innocent Hindus picked up by police should be released as soon as possible. But whilst we're talking about that, let's also talk about how, 1992, the Hindus won again, and how the Sector 57 place of worship of the Muslims should go away. I mean, we're talking about a secular, country. Doesn't look so secular right on the outskirts of the national capital region. happen.
Well,
And this is
in
the national
Panipat,
capital we're talking about, aren't we?
In Panipat, shops of Muslim traders have been attacked, is what cops are saying. Tension prevailed in Sector 25 in Panipat on Sunday when a group of unidentified miscreants vandalized the properties owned by Muslims and said Panipat police. The miscreants targeted a barber shop owned by Shanwaj and a chicken shop owned by Irshad. Now, the CPI delegation has been stopped from entering Nu. A 4-member delegation of the Communist Party of India was stopped from entering violence-affected areas in Gurugram and Nu on Sunday, said police, adding that Section 144 is in place and that the delegation was stopped due to security reasons. The delegation included CPI Rajya Sabha MP Binoy Vishwam, CPI General Secretary and Amarjit Kaur, Party MP P. Santosh Kumar and Party Leader Darya Singh Kashyap. So the CPI had sent a delegation to find out.
I'm more interested in how the viewers are viewing this. Please do get down in the comment section. Tell us about how you feel about these open calls, comparing to what is going to happen, foreseeing the near future at these panchayats, where clear open demands of Hindu brothers being released from jail and that being compared to the 1992 bloodshed. That is something that really shouldn't happen. I mean it wasn't that bloodshed
give a clarion
enough,
call for bloodshed in this country.
Question.
This country is one of the most beautiful mosaics that the world has ever. There have been nations talking about this. There have been ideations in the West and across the world talking about.
They love us.
Having a multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multi-ethnic group, and of course we are the only country that has achieved it as a civilization, and we are destroying it when we come to the modern era. But before we in fact end it, there is one small positive story from the Tribune. This Haryana Yatra is epitome of communal harmony. Even as the Vishwa Hindu Parishad's Bajrang Dal Jalabhishek Yatra started 3 years ago, would be remembered as the worst communal clashes that Haryana has ever seen. Another pilgrimage that passes through Mewat region continues to be an epitome of harmony. The 84 Coast Braj Yatra, which started on July 4th and will last till August 16, is said to be happening since time immemorial. Originating from Mathura, even Shravan, the Yatra witnesses thousands of devotees walking barefoot for about 252 kilometers. In Haryana, it passes through several villages of Nu and Palwal, including Vichor, Nipkas and Son. Mio Muslim inhabitants of these villages are participants in the celebrations as they shun non-vegetarian food during the holy month. They also prepare food for the pilgrims, provide them shelter at night in their homes, and even massage their feet as part of khidmat.
This is something that we can definitely
story that
talk
we should
about.
be focusing
we
upon.
should be focusing
this is
on
actually the kind of
story. Let's actually try and do something on this today. But even as we're talking about on a positive note, I'm actually happy to leave that story on that particular positive note. Another positive note, ladies and gentlemen, and we try to put those pictures as soon as possible out there. Chandrayaan-3, India's moon mission, is feeling lunar gravity. It has sent in the first pictures from the lunar orbit. It's really close to the moon now. We'll just show you those visuals. Chandrayaan-3 only 4,313 kilometers from the moon, says the Indian Space Research Organization. Those are particular images that the dedicated tweet page had put out. That's the trajectory now, Varghese. The next the second lunar orbit maneuver that's going to bring it closer to the lunar surface is going to be carried out on the 9th of August. First one has been done successfully, that perigee firing, and ISRO on Sunday released that video of the moon as viewed by the rover and the lander.
Those are the beautiful pictures coming in from Chandrayaan-3.
India is going to only become the 4th nation on this planet to successfully soft land on the dark side of the moon. And this video has been stitched from a plethora of images
that have been coming,
of course, but you can see the body of the lander also. It's not like you can't see the body of the lander. You can see the body of the lander. Everything is all good. And the image that they put out was with a thumbs up, where the rover is saying, I'm all good and I'm feeling lunar gravity. 4,313 kilometers from the moon. The next firing is going to take place on the 9th of
I can't
August.
wait, Kabir. I can't just wait for August 28th, that final day when we are going to have that rover landing on that moon surface. It's going to be a long wait, but you know this. Finally they'll have a circular orbit around the moon before they actually land. It's going to be a 100-kilometer circular orbit that we are looking at just around the moon's surface. And Kabir, I'm just waiting for it to happen because you know it's going to be a huge feat for ISRO when it comes to multi-planetary approach, and probably maybe in the future we might see a Mangalyaan where we might actually land a rover on Mars as well, and before that a Gaganyaan where we will send our person to space.
Hold your horses, man. I mean,
I'm just waiting for you know, you have you
2020,
have you been
2025
a fan of Star Trek?
Man on Pluto.
Have you been a fan of Star Trek?
Yeah, of course.
You know, we just imagine. First, it is our imagination that makes us explore what's the possibility out there, ask those questions, and you know, reignite imagination. But these are small baby steps that we are taking. Let's see.
We're going to, shift our focus and ask Varghese to hold his horses. I can see with that smile how excited you are. 9th August. Let's hope everything goes according to plan. It has been going on so far. You want to do your finger crossing once again?
I am keeping my fingers crossed.
All right. Here on the top page, it says Assam can enact law to ban polygamy. Says an expert panel. Let's quickly give the viewers, some sort of facts also. Now, laws need presidential nod. That's number one. All right. The subject is covered under central law, and if the state enacts a legislation on it, the same will have to be sent to the president for assent. After receiving which, the state will be in force within its territorial jurisdiction, according to the expert committee. Now, legislation is a necessity as the practice of polygamy infringes on fundamental rights of Muslim women under Article 14, Article 15 and Article 21, says the expert panel. Now, under Muslim personal law, polygamy is permitted but is not compulsory, and enactment of any law prohibiting it will offend Article 25, which is right to practice, profess and propagate religion, says the panel. So there is a sort of like a tussle point over here, Varghese. But now the expert panel submits its report to Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. Practice is not essential to Islam, is what the panel says, but under Muslim personal law, polygamy is permitted, but it is not compulsory, and enactment of any law prohibiting it will not offend Article 25, which is right to practice, profess and propagate religion. Law definitely in this financial year, says Himanta Biswa Sarma.
Also, let me point out one small aspect of that thing, which I think a lot of people must have not taken it, but the Hindustan Times has been in fact putting it out. What it says is the Chief Minister said the views received on the issue from various communities in the state showed that they welcome such a legislation. Okay, that is what he said. But then in that, pointing out that since the existing state laws on Muslim marriages don't specify eligible age of brides and groom, Sarma said the committee also suggested to keep a provision to mention a common eligible age for marriage for all communities in the proposed law, so that there is no lack of clarity in the rules under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences, that is POCSO Act. So this is another aspect of it, trying to fix age when it comes to the issue of when they can marry. That was not specified under the state laws, is what it said. Another thing that they've said is, to be sure, 2011 census data shows that polygamy among men is not a phenomenon which is restricted to Muslims alone, and that the number of currently married women is greater than currently married men among all religious groups.
Polygamy infringes Muslim women's rights, says the Assam panel, but the state enacted law will be enforceable only after the president's assent. Polygamy continues to be practiced by Muslims because of the protection provided by the Muslim Personal Laws Act 1937. We've got a quick reaction to play out from the legal community. Let's play that reaction out and then we'll shift our focus.
Assam, especially Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, हेमंत बिश्व शर्मा ने एक कमेटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट किया था, एक्सपर्ट कमेटी, जहां में रिटायर्ड जस्टिस रूमी फुकन चेयरमैन और 3 मेंबर्स, श्री देवजीत शइकिया एडवोकेट जनरल ऑफ असम एंड नवीन कहिल एडिशनल एडवोकेट जनरल ऑफ असम एंड माई सेल्फ, हमको भी एक कमेटी के 3 लेकर के चेयरमैन जस्टिस रूमी फुकन था। तो हम लोग को जो डायरेक्शन दिया था पॉलीगैमी का ऊपर, गवर्नमेंट का था कि एक्सपर्ट को भी इसलिए एग्जामिन द legislative competitions of the state legislature to enact a law to end polygamy. उसका ऊपर हम लोग 3-4 बार हम लोग बैठा है एक कमेटी बैठने का बाद एक हम लोग रिपोर्ट हम लोग प्रिपेयर किया है और रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करके आज हम लोग का रिपोर्ट चीफ मिनिस्टर का ऑफिस में हम लोग चीफ मिनिस्टर का हाथ में दे दिया। अभी बाकी गवर्नमेंट का ड्यूटी गवर्नमेंट करेगा, पॉलीगैमी का ऊपर क्या करना है क्या करना नहीं तो ये सब गवर्नमेंट करेगा। हम लोग को जो माने ये आपका कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजन में हो या नहीं तो ये आपका सुप्रीम कोर्ट का कोई प्रोविजन ऐसा जो मांगा था हम लोग क्लियर करके दिया है, बाकी सब गवर्नमेंट ने किएगा।
वेल सो जो भी करेगा गवर्नमेंट करेगा, बट प्रेसिडेंट के नोट के साथ करेगा। But the bottom line remains that polygamy, that expert panel, it's pretty much cleared the polygamy law. It has said that it's still a prevalent practice, and it's not essential to the practice of Islam, does not impinge on those articles. So we'll have to wait and find out as to what happens next. But Himanta Biswa Sarma has said that it's going to happen this financial year itself. Shifting our focus to the ASI survey that's being carried out at the Gyanvapi mosque premises. Over here I'm reading, it says ASI's survey continues amid the boycott threat. Boycott from the Muslim side. Why the threat is something that we've already spoken about. The Muslim side feels that there were rumors that were being spread right out after Sunday also, that if these rumors are going to be spread that we found some Hindu idol or some deities representation in the Tahkhana area, which is the basement area, which was cleaned and cleared up, and there is another round of survey that's already on as we speak. They said if this rumor mongering is going to take place, then we're going to boycott the survey
so basically
practice.
they are saying that they want the details of the survey or whatever they found in the ASI survey. It should be either submitted in a sealed envelope and it should not have any public
It can do that. The ASI still can do that.
They can still do that, but so they are in fact trying to remember the last time the survey was happening and there was a minute-to-minute coverage saying that we found that, we found this. So
right.
I think the Muslim side in fact wants that to be curtailed as fast as possible because it tends to also raise temperatures in the area. That is one more thing that they are looking at. But the fact remains is that the ASI will carry out that survey and there is going to be a report on that structure. And that structure, of course, has been disputed, but there will be a complete report on it because remember what the court was saying. The court was saying that even they want to know what the truth about the matter is all about. So is the truth of the matter, once the ASI in fact gives that report, we'll be able to see what exactly did they come up with when it came to the findings.
All right, is that the only update coming out of Varanasi, Varghese, out of the Gyanvapi mosque premises? Because
well,
there was a report that was coming, that did come out of Varanasi's, legal fraternity, Vishnu Shankar Jain. He said something, he was of the opinion that, nothing of that sort is going to happen, no rumor mongering will take place, there is only image mapping that will take place, nothing else. And the truth should definitely come out, which is something that I stand by as well, that if a survey is the need of the hour and if for the sake of justice, like the Allahabad High Court said, and if the Supreme Court says that, follow what Allahabad High Court has said, if that is something that we have to follow and everybody is equal before the law, it seems like the truth should come out. I mean, the truth will prevail in any case, right? It is inevitable.
I think let them in fact bring out what the survey results are. It cannot be hidden away, so we have to see how the survey is going to look at or how is it going to reveal itself. So let us in fact wait and see how.
Meanwhile, the latest update coming out of Gyanvapi certainly is that the ASI survey is continuing amid these threats of boycotting from the Muslim side. And apart from that, 18 other pleas that are doing the rounds in various courts in and around Varanasi. August 28th is the day when the final and the complete collective verdict is going to come out.
This started
so
in 1991.
a lot of eyes on that as well.
2023 now.
1991, precisely. Yeah, that's something that began in 1991 is, continuing till 2023 is already quite mind-boggling to take a look at. In terms of terror filtration, this news that we got in the morning, Varghese, let me just take a look at this. Shifting our focus to Jammu and Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen. Varghese, an infiltration bid was foiled along the line of control in the general area of Degwar Terwan in Poonch. Search operations is underway in the area. Lieutenant Colonel Sunil Barthwal, who's the PRO of Defence in Jammu, has given out this information. So Rajouri, Kupwara and now Poonch infiltration bid that has been
The terrorist
foiled.
was killed in Kupwara, and in Rajouri the encounter continues is what we come to know in the latest information. So it looks like there is an attempt on the LOC to disturb the peace, and there has been an attempt to push in these elements through the LOC as well. And we know that right now probably we are looking at before the winter, it looks like the the forces on the other side of the border are enemies, if we can actually put it out. These terrorists have been trying to infiltrate just ahead of winter, because once winter comes in, most of these infiltration routes will be covered in snow and it will be difficult for them to make their way through. So I think before that they're trying to push in as many unwanted elements as possible into the valley to create trouble. So it seems to be part of that, and of course our armed forces being vigilant and giving a proper reply.
There's a one terrorist that has been gunned down as Army falls infiltration bid attempt in Poonch district.
Oh, okay. This is the latest that's coming in.
That's the latest. So
Right.
that's what I was talking about. So Kupwara happened.
No.
In Rajouri,
Today the
that
thing-
encounter,
incident is still
it seems
going
like
on.
it's still going on. Combing operations, proper cordoning and combing operations that are currently on. And on the third front, which is Poonch, an infiltration bid has been successfully foiled. One terrorist has been gunned down over there as well. Army Force infiltration bid in J&K is Poonch. One terrorist killed. In Kupwara is something that Varghese has already given us, though that kind of information. What's happening essentially in Rajouri, Varghese, the encounter is on right now, isn't it?
What they're saying that in this, the headline says that the Rajouri encounter continues. Rajouri op continued. The security forces continued with the operation to track down terrorists in a remote village in Jammu's Rajouri district a day after terrorists was shot dead during an encounter in the area. According to police, the encounter began on Saturday after a joint team of the police and the army launched a cordon and search operation in Khawaz village in Budal area after a tip-off about the presence of terrorists.
So, Poonch infiltration bid foiled, in Kupwara infiltration bid foiled, in Rajouri hopefully we'll get some good news, but right now encounter is on, and our armed forces are battling it out. The cordoning and combing operations are currently on in Rajouri. That's what we're picking up in terms of the latest early morning detail for you, ladies and gentlemen. Also, what we have going on is, this particular news piece that I was taking a look at right on the flap of the Times of India. It says New York Times probe unearths links between Chinese propaganda in India and abroad to millionaire. I'll just read out a little excerpt because I was just going through this and it seems like it's really interesting, Varghese. Do pay some attention. New York Times investigation has lifted the lid off what the US Daily calls a lavishly funded influence campaign that defends China and pushes its propaganda across the world, and that has linkages even in India. According to New York Times, at the heart of this campaign is a charismatic American millionaire, Neville Roy Singham, who is known as socialist benefactor of far-left causes. The investigation shows how, from a think tank in Massachusetts to an event space in Manhattan, from a political party in South Africa to news organizations in India and Brazil, Singham is working closely with the Chinese government and financing its propaganda worldwide. The US Daily said speculations about Singham first emerged on Twitter among self-described anti-fascists. They were followed by reports in publications such as New Lines and the South African investigative outlet Amabhungne. The Daily said authorities in India raided a news organization tied to Singham, accusing it of having ties to the Chinese government. In New Delhi, corporate fillings show Mr. Singham's network financed a news site, NewsClick, that sprinkled its coverage with Chinese government talking points. China's history continues to inspire the working classes, says one particular video. Times of India had earlier reported that Indian agencies were investigating links between Singham and NewsClick as well. But right now, this is a NYT probe that has also seconded what I think the Times of India was trying to probe. It's an America abroad, a millionaire from New York that is at the center of all of this, Mr. Singham.
You know, the way propaganda has been put out has changed. We have seen how media is also changing when it comes to digital. We are in digital. And you're talking about a lot of influencers. Now, there's a big question being asked as to how influencers are being used as a propaganda tool when it comes to powerful foreign governments, because they tend to insert a certain explanation, because everybody is so influenced about it. To make that quite important judgment, it has become very difficult right now. And when it comes to this person, Kabir, especially when you talk about millionaires who have access to money, who can travel, who can in fact facilitate propaganda, it is a thing. And China has been exploring. Before, it used to be direct, you know, call from the Foreign Office of China, which says it agrees, it doesn't agree, and then it's used to spit out its propaganda, and people know its propaganda content coming in the global times as it puts out. But now it has become very subtle. It is trying to buy influence in media houses. It's buying influence among influencers. And of course, you have fronts like this Singham's organization that tends to fall in that category where they try to propagate these ideas. So these people are becoming fronts, and they are very valuable assets when it comes to instigating as well as ensuring information war, or what we call as propaganda.
Lecture by Varghese P. Abraham, ladies and gentlemen.
Early in the morning itself.
We'll cut this portion. We'll put this out on YouTube for people to actually watch this, because you know, I was.
I'm sorry that you're always listening.
All right. Moving on. At a paucity of time here, several other news pieces to cover. 30 dead in Pakistan's train derailment. I'm just going to quickly read out some facts that have been reported. More than 80 people were also injured after 10 coaches of the train travelling from Karachi to Rawalpindi derailed in Nawab Shah, beg your pardon. At least 30 passengers died and more than 80 others injured when 10 coaches of the train Hazara Express travelling from Karachi to Rawalpindi derailed in Nawab Shah district of Sindhi province on Sunday afternoon. There were 950 passengers in the train's economy class, while 72 were travelling in the AC coach when the accident took place. Sunday's tragedy came just a day after 3 coaches of Allama Iqbal Express travelling from Karachi to Sialkot derailed near Padiyan railway station in Sindh's Nausha Rao Feroz district, though none suffered injuries that time around. It was unclear what caused the derailment, but Pakistan's railway minister Khwaja Sadad Rafiq said that the train had been running at a normal speed when it crashed at 1 p.m. near the Sarhari railway station. So back-to-back railway clashes, train derailments that have taken place in Pakistan. But shifting our focus over here, Varghese, Rahul Gandhi's Lok Sabha membership. The Congress had put out, information. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, a loud Congress voice in the Lok Sabha. He's, given proper details. He's written to Om Birla. He's put out that information. He said, the Supreme Court has upheld, has stayed that particular conviction. So much has happened. Please reinstate Rahul Gandhi. And today, all the opposition members are also going to meet ahead of the parliament meeting, the parliament session, because the strategy, Rananiti banani hai, the strategy is going to be made, and I'm sure Rahul Gandhi's membership of the Lok Sabha is going to be part and parcel of that.
When the stay happened also, the question we were asking is, how fast will he be reinstated? Because the decks have been cleared, and whether he will miss the monsoon session, and whether he'll be present for the no confidence debate, whether he'll be present for the Manipur debate. These are speculations that we're doing the round. So now all eyes are on the speaker and the speaker's discretion to reinstatement whenever it is possible as such. Also,
but what does history tell us? Because the MP from Lakshadweep is still awaiting his reinstatement.
He had in fact, and still I think there is a lot of cases against him.
It says here, Delhi bill, Manipur set up stormy week in the House, and it is, I think it's the final week of the monsoon session of the Parliament. 11th of August is when they're going to talk about Manipur. But the Delhi bill also, the Rajya Sabha numbers are going to be very important to look at.
But
again.
Now with YSRCP and BJD as well, and then you have TDP
also backing.
I think it's not going to be a problem.
On the other hand, Sandeep Dikshit, he's come out in support of the Delhi bill. Congress leader Sheil Dikshit's son, he's come out in support of the Delhi bill. So, in terms of the Delhi bill, what's happening right now?
People are yet to make up their mind on Delhi.
Absolutely. Amit Shah was speaking and he said that, एक alliance का नाम बनाने से कुछ नहीं होगा. आप लोग डर गए हो, अगली बार फिर पीएम मोदी, प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी is going to come in 2024. I'm saying, let's talk about the Delhi bill. You talk less about the Delhi bill, but you talk more about 2024 polls, and that's not just the case with BJP, it's the case with everybody right now. So this week the strategy was, what is it going to be? Is it going to be Delhi bill, or is it going to be Rahul Gandhi's membership?
There are three things that are going to dominate.
Rahul Gandhi was asked to, show the victory sign, and he didn't do it. Mallikarjun Kharge said, okay, I'll do it in his place, AICC president, I'll do it. So maybe Rahul Gandhi is telling the Congress party, don't make it about me.
Yeah.
Do not make this last final week about me. Focus on the issues that already
So that's what I was saying. There are three issues that are going to come up. One is about Manipur, of course, which is the burning issue that we've seen for the last 3 months, and probably a discussion on that. Secondly, it's about the Delhi services bill. And crucially enough, I was telling you that I think a lot of states should be worried, and I'm also surprised that certain state parties like BJD and YSRCP as well as TDP that prided on the issue about states and the autonomy of states, they are actually supporting something like this at the end of the day when it comes to Rajya Sabha. So it's actually confusing. Do they actually understand the provisions of this bill, what it does? But then again, I've been telling you, Kabir, that Delhi is not a defined creature. And therefore, we are going to see that creature being defined only by the Supreme Court, because it falls under a myriad of categories. It doesn't fall under a complete union territory, it doesn't fall under a complete state, it doesn't fall under, it's a capital of the country, it's got a legislature, it's got a powerful chief minister. I mean, and then you have this issue about the bureaucracy, and then suddenly you make a compromise saying that can you legislate, not legislate on it by removing a section 33 from it. So, it is a very complicated entity, and I'll
tell you what's more complicated.
It's going to get more complicated with more laws coming in from the center trying to control it, and with the state government going to the court to say that how do you actually interpret these laws when it comes to its application to Delhi. So I think finally it is a court that is going to tell whether Delhi is going to be a full-fledged state, not a full-fledged state, whether it will be an
finally it'll reach
some
the
kind
court.
of clarity.
It'll reach the court. All right. Just throwing some light on this also. Pakistan is going to participate in the Cricket World Cup. I'll just read what the Pakistan's website has put out. It says Pakistan has consistently maintained that sports should not be mixed with politics. It has therefore decided to send its cricket team to India to participate in the upcoming ICC Cricket World Cup 2023. Pakistan believes that the state of bilateral relations with India should not stand in the way of fulfilling its international sports-related obligations. Pakistan's decision shows its constructive and responsible approach vis-a-vis India's stringent attitude, as the latter had refused to send its cricket team to Pakistan for the Asia Cup. Pakistan. There's politics over here also.
That's what they're
saying it should not be mixed with politics, but saying Pakistan's decision shows its constructive and responsible approach vis-a-vis India's intransigent attitude.
Let me use a very Generation Z kind of Thomas. I think Pakistan is going to have a FOMO if they must.
Well, of course, they will have a FOMO. I think all the fans will also have a FOMO. You love Pakistan's bowling battery take on India's sublime batting also. That's something that we love to do. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, that cage fight, whether it's going to happen or not, we'll have to wait and find out. But even if we wrap this show, I was reading right in the morning that Elon Musk had put out that, all money is going to go to charity. This match is going to be live streamed on X. And then Mark Zuckerberg says, that shouldn't you be using a more reliable platform to live stream this fight? So that cage fight has already began even before.
It's there. And before we wind up, I just wanted to show that poet Gadar, a key voice of Telangana movement and ex-Maoist ideologue, in fact, passes away. And a very important person when it comes to South India, and especially when it comes to the socialist movement. He was a Maoist sympathizer, but later, went...
Telangana folk singer.
He was a folk singer, and he was called the People's Singer.
People's Singer.
And he was a balladia. He used to take up, common causes and had socialist inklings, and later, very closely tied with the Telangana movement, and later fell out with KCR as well over the issue. And then he said that Dalit causes have to be taken into consideration.
Any particular teaching about this Telangana folk singer?
See,
something that holds true in today's times.
But for him today, these are rare phenomena that keep happening, and a person who took up a folk artist, a folk
art in general,
to actually speak about social issues. That's actually
well. Today, the need of the hour, it seems, are folk artists, and we're losing one of them, each passing day, and the world certainly is poorer without Gadar. We're playing those visuals. The People's Singer. Gadar, he's passed away, Telangana folk artist. May your soul rest in peace, and our thoughts and prayers to the loved ones of this particular folk artist. Many thanks, Varghese, for joining me here on today's Page One. That's all the time we have for you. I'm glad you got down in the comment section with your opinions. Later on, we're going to begin with our rolling coverage on Manipur and a specific news piece from down south. The South Indian takes place in the afternoon. Later on, the top international news. We've got the global lens for you at 8 p.m. Many thanks. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off. Keep watching News 9.
Pakistan is actually genociding Baloch people. So being Baloch is a crime. If you are a Baloch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baloch and exploiting their resources.
Baloch armed struggle will continue unless China withdraws, Pakistan military withdraws from Balochistan and give Baloch complete authority to decide for themselves.
The Baloch feel that if they don't act now, they will become marginalized.
What lies ahead for Balochistan?
Balochistan, Bangladesh 2.0, streaming now.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it.
It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies, streaming now.